Good evening, wrestling fans. I am Lewis, the Encyclopedia of Pro Wrestling, and this is Evolution of Pro Wrestling. And as always, the pleasure is all yours. Thank you, fans, for joining us. It's been a couple of weeks since we've been on the podcast, but we are back. And we got a terrific topic for you tonight. Well, I got a topic for you tonight because I'm the host. I'm the Encyclopedia of Pro Wrestling. And it's a pleasure to entertain you guys as we always do. Wrestling has been buzzing for weeks of what's been going on in professional wrestling. Russell Jackson, what's going on, brother? Welcome, everybody. Today's going to be an awesome show. We're going to bring you all pro wrestling news, AEW, WWE, New Japan, any organization you can think of. We're going to be bringing that to you. First things first. Before we get into any type of wrestling related stuff, Evolution of Pro Wrestling would like to send out his sincere condolences to James Earl Jones, it's his family, an iconic star in the movie scene, the voice of Darth Vader, the voice in The Lion King. Great actor, passed away probably 2 days ago at the age of 93. We lost a good one, but condolences to him and his family, to, much prayers. But great actor. But yes, back to wrestling at hand. A lot has happened. In AEW All Out, we saw Dean Ambrose come in with his faction, cost Bryan Danielson, he won the match, but then at the end, he turned on him. Like, what happened? Like, all of a sudden, he turned on him. Now, some people were saying that the paper bag over his face was a little bit extreme. Some say not. What do you guys think? You know what I mean? Like, we're gonna wait for some more people to come in here. We got Russell Jackson, and tonight's fan. Once we bring you some wrestling talk, we're gonna bring you our topic of the night, which is gonna be awesome. Which I'm sure you guys are definitely gonna enjoy. So please be prepared because we're going to be talking a whole lot of wrestling. Dave, what's going on? Alvin, welcome everybody. Welcome. As we mentioned, guys, we would be talking about AEW's All Out. What do you guys think that AEW went too far with the bag in Bryan Danielson's face? Or, was it great shit? Was it good wrestling, stuff, entertainment, to have there? Because a lot of people say, "Oh, the AEW went too far," and blah blah blah. And I'm like, I want to get your opinion on these things, guys. So please feel free to let me know. What do you guys think? Thank you, Alva, for joining us. And said, "My Monopoly Go Race winner." Dave says PG era fans are soft. He says Funk and Flair did the spot in 1989, started a top 5 feud of all time. I agree. But as you said, it's this day and age is that everybody's too sensitive. You do some shit, it's going to be, "Oh, you can't do that. No, please." That's a fact. Like, come on now. Like, this is the point where now is you need to get that spunk back. With everything going on in this world, like, wrestling is at its best right now. Like, what are my thoughts on Ricochet and AEW? I love it. I love it because it gives Ricochet the chance to be who he wants to be. Go on different challenges, fight different opponents, maybe get a title or two, you know what I mean? Build himself up and maybe come back to WWE in a different way, But that was an interesting question. And don't forget, guys, we are going to have our 10-minute Q&A question at the end of this show. Basher Berlin, guys, what did you think about that? Like, everything that's been going on with the Bloodline, All Out. Like, tell me your thoughts about Bret Hart coming back to Monday Night Raw. SmackDown, this coming SmackDown is going to be in USA, the opener, and apparently per Triple H announcing it that Cody Rhodes and Solo Sikoa are going to open the matchup, open SmackDown with that match. So, like, tell us what you guys think. Like, pro wrestling is a show. The workers agreed to spots. Swerve and Page was great. Blood feud. Not every match is like that. That match was lethal. Like, okay. So a lot of people say that the chair shots is very unsafe. And at times it can be. You know what I mean? And No Mercy. No Mercy was definitely good too. Excuse me. But again, some people can take it, some people won't. You know what I mean? Prince Puma, action to return. Exactly. That's what people want to see. They want to see him back. They want to see him grow that career. So I'm waiting for Drew and Punk. Oh, absolutely. Bad Blood. Like, people thought it was over. I thought it was over. And I'm like, oh shit, but it's not. Give me 1 second here, fans. I'm just typing in. Keep going. So much more. So, good guys, the topic tonight is going to be awesome. You guys are going to love it. With our topic. What else? Love it, Puma. I'm waiting for Drew and Punk and Hell in a Cell. Listen, man, I'm hype up for Bad Blood. Like, what do you guys thought on Sami Zayn and Gunther again? That rivalry coming back for Sami trying to go for the World Heavyweight title. You tell me your thoughts about that. Okay, Freddie King, what's going on, man? Keep coming in. Thank you, everyone, for joining us to Evolution of Pro Wrestling. I am the Encyclopedia of Pro Wrestling, and as always, the pleasure is all yours. Thank you for joining us. Tonight, we're talking professional wrestling's top news all over WWE, AEW, TNA, anything you can think of. And then tonight's topic, what moments made you a wrestling fan? Who is going to be a good one? What's going on, brother? Thank you. He said, I think Zayn will lose to Gunther. Alvin says, I think it's because Sami was one to defeat Gunther, so I think he can defeat him again. Yeah, but that's not gonna happen. Phoenix, ¿qué pasa, primo? Dave says Sami and Gunther will tear it up. Gunther to reset his place on the top over Sami, but the match will be a banger. I agree. I actually agree. You know, it's gonna be a good one because it was good for the Intercontinental title. I'm like, but now this is gonna be for the world title. So, oh man, I'm hyped up for this. But I gotta say, listen, AEW All Out was pretty good. It was a pretty good show. Like, I actually enjoyed it. I enjoyed it so much, and I'm like, holy shit, like. But again, this goes back to, can AEW capitalize from the pay-per-view? Can they do something about it? You know, we got to wait and see. But one thing I can't wait to see is Saturday night's main event coming back to NBC. And apparently, it looks like Jesse the Body Ventura is set to return as color commentator for the WWE. What do you guys thought about that? Like, wow, that's interesting. Like, from the golden era, like, shit, that's reviving, you know, something special at that time, because when he was in the 80s in the Saturday Night's Main Event, you know, like, it was interesting with him and Vince McMahon. So I'm anxious to see where this is gonna go. Like, this is I'm intrigued to see this. Well, not yet, Alvin, not yet. Hold your thoughts, man. I can't read those now. Just keep those in mind, all right? Keep those in mind. Keep those in mind. Yeah, you too, Dave. Please keep all of them in mind. All of them in mind. We're gonna discuss them in another 10 minutes. We're just getting wrestling news out the way. But no, I'm excited. I'm excited for this, for Saturday night's main event. Like, oh man, that was my all-time favorite show on Saturdays. Like, and I know my wife is gonna hate it. But SmackDown on Fridays, Saturday night's main event on Saturdays, but you know, I might not catch it all the time. You know, I gotta make my. So Willow and Stan Lander was one of the best ladies matches I've ever seen. Yes, he said my comment goes back to All Out. Absolutely. Listen, the women's division in AEW is, to me, it has its moments, but they're good. They're good. You know, there's still some that need to learn, of course, but hey, you have your moments when they can put on a good match. You know, but AEW is definitely it's a company that can surely grow with the right tool of booking, because again, quite frankly, with Tony Khan doing these storylines and whoever it is, you're not like the Swerve and Page masterpiece, the hot bird in the house, the promo, you know, it was good, but I think they still got to take it up a notch, just a little bit, and and listen, I'm not judging anything about cursing, because I curse like a sailor, but a little bit less profanity, you know, like keep it attitude-ary, but dial it down just a little bit, so that's just my opinion anyway. But no, listen, again, Saturday night's main event. I'm happy that Jesse Ventura is coming back as color commentary. I can't wait to see it. And more on wrestling news. Apparently, let me see here. AEW star making a comeback after 5 months. Interesting. What's going on, Brian? Frankie, what's going on, fellas? Welcome. AEW star apparently as the the magical girl Yuka Sakazi. She's coming back after 7 months out away from the ring. That's interesting. So, little news: NWA crowned the Mid-American Champion. Really trying to get a territory feel for NWA Power on the CW app. Hey, yo, James, what's going on, brother? Listen, NWA has always been a good wrestling company that you if you want to watch good wrestling matches, that's the good thing to see. Like now, yes, WWE is coming out with some crazy matches, and you can see them. Like the talent is going all out. But NWA is always known for, even back in the days. You know what I mean? NWA could have had a TV. Well, if they would have not done that stupid shit on TV that they did, then he would have. They would have definitely got it. You know, but what you call it? I think NWA has the most prestigious championship title. I agree, and it's not because, you know, I'm a Hulk Hogan fan. I'm a Bob Backlund fan, Ultimate Warrior, Macho Man, Bob Backlund, if I said it again, Iron Sheik, Pedro Morales. But with the NWA title, it has history. You know, with Ric Flair, Terry Funk, Dusty Rhodes, Harley Race, just those 4 names alone. Just those 4 names alone says it all. You know, that they definitely have made that championship relevant back in the days. Like, and now it's still a prestigious title. You know what I mean? And it's good that people still mention it to this day, because, you know, there's a good documentary on YouTube about the golden era of wrestling. Please send that to me, sir. I would definitely like to see that. I'm for real. I would like to see that. He said it. Even Brian said it. By far, it's by far that, like, it's awesome. Like, with that belt, so many. Hey, Anthony, what's going on, brother? Hey, I finally made it in. Good job. Thank you for coming. For those joining in, tonight we're talking about Professional's top news, along with our topic of the night. At what moments, shocking moments, sad moments, whatever, made you become a wrestling fan? And you know what? We're talking about the NWA. Let's get into this topic right now. Now that Brian mentions the NWA and Dave mentions the NWA, let's talk about it. Professional wrestling, for me, as a fan, I became a fan when I was 5 years old. And when I started watching, the first person I saw was Hulk Hogan. You know, I saw Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania 1, you know, with the saying the prayers and your vitamins, blah, 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 you know, all this stuff. And I said, wow, I said, this is something I want to do. I said, this is something I want to do. I want to become a fan. I want to watch some wrestling. You know what I mean? And I'm like, shit, like, this is cool. And I became a huge fan. Huge fan. So I've been watching wrestling since I was in diaper. No, I'm telling you, like, you see the moments. Like, when I first saw the moment when when they were in Madison Square Garden, when him and Mr. T fought Paul Orndorff and Roddy Piper, I was like, wow, WrestleMania 1. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's the first thing I remember as a fan that made me become a fan, because Hulk Hogan was so known at the time, and he was hot, red hot in professional wrestling, that's when I'm like, I want to be just like him. And I started doing the saying your prayers and the vitamins and the entrances and all this shit. And I'm like, wow, like, like, man, my father used to make fun of me. Like, oh, what you doing? but I loved it. I loved it. Thank you, sir. Thank you. I got it. I'll watch it later on, right after the show. And guys, please feel free to share our content all over social media. Bring everybody in, your friends, your family. Bring this awesome topic. Let's bring everybody together and have this awesome topic of what made you become a wrestling fan. Dave says, first memorable moment for me was seeing Nick Bockwinkel on AEW Syndicate TV as a kid in the 70s. Listen, Nick Bockwinkel to me, besides Roddy Piper, is without a shadow of a doubt one of the greatest heel characters and technical wrestlers in professional wrestling, in my opinion, because he did it all. Yes, Bob Backlund did bring in Hulk Hogan to help out with the Samoans, and the Samoans sold that perfect. Anthony says, I've been watching wrestling since I was 6 or 7 years old. Same here. Been watching it, you know, and you got greats like, again, you had guys like Vern Gagne, Antonio Aroca, you had Haystacks Callahan. Like, there was so many guys, so many stars. The Big Cat, Ernie Ladd. Like, holy shit. Like, everyone was like, let's talk. Like, there was so many. So how do you think Bob Backlund must have felt knowing Hulk Hogan was about to take his spot? Must have felt like shit. Well, I wouldn't really say like shit, because remember, there's always a change in transition. Because Bob Backlund was in the WWF era, Worldwide Wrestling Federation, with Vince Sr. And you know, times got to change. So as time went on, he's like, okay, I got the company now. Let me get this going, and let me change some things around. So as soon as he did that, that's when he said, okay, Vince McMahon took over. I'm going to go live stream. I'm going to go on cable TV. I'm going to bring this Hulk Hogan and everything. Brian says, my first house show was in Madison Square Garden when he fought Sergeant Slaughter. Was that when he fought him in a Desert Storm match or a regular match? Because I saw that one on TV. Dave says, first live show my daddy took me to was in Baltimore in 1977. Superstar Billy Graham won the WWF Championship from Bruno Sammartino. The arena was silent and in shock. Oh yeah, that was the title change of the century. Oh, it was a regular match. Okay, because I saw another house show on Madison Square Garden on cable that they had a Desert Storm match. There was no rules. Like Hulk Hogan was dressed in a whole army suit and this and that. I'm like, oh shit. I'm like, those were some classic days. But one classic match I'm about to mention, and I'm going to keep mentioning it over and over and over and over until I'm blue to the face and until the day I'm in the ground. To this day, the greatest match of all time that I have ever seen at WrestleMania is Ricky the Dragon Steamboat and Macho Man Randy Savage. Anybody tell me different, we can battle, we can debate, but I will always stick to what I like. Oh, the good old days before kayfabe was broken. Yes. Frank says, where I am from, we always go to the New Haven Coliseum on the Hartford Civic Center back in those days. Absolutely. So that was the territory days. You know what I'm saying? But it's moments like that with Macho Man and Ricky Steamboat. Like, two athletes that gave it their all. Like, I mean, their all in the ring in front of over 93,000 fans. Like, wow. Like, what do you... Like, holy shit. Like you see that, and I can see that match over and over. And not for nothing, I can see Ricky Steamboat over and over again. Because he's had great rivalries with Ric Flair in WCW. It's like, I can watch that match thousands of times like it was the first time watching. Absolutely. Because it is such a great matchup. James says, the NWO was always my go-to for wrestling. WWF was cartoon superhero gimmick. Of course, at the time, I think maybe like the early 90s is when they got a little bit more gimmicky, which I didn't like because it was like, it's okay, you know, the little characters, whatever. But it was like, like, what are you gonna do, you know? And then Frank says, I love Hogan, he's my boy, but you're right, that was the best match ever. Absolutely. Like, absolutely. Like, that match to this day, in my opinion, no match can match it. Only the back-to-back matches of The Undertaker for WrestleMania 25 and WrestleMania 26 with Shawn Michaels. Prove me wrong. Like, that to me was great. Once Bret and Shawn hit the main event scene, it changed the company. It sure did. It sure did. All the gimmicks were gone. Everything started getting real. The characters started coming out. Like, it was awesome. It was awesome. Dave says, in the 80s, there was Pro Wrestling USA, NWA, and AWA collaboration. I saw Nick Bockwinkel versus Tommy Rich, former NWA champion. Saw my favorite live. Those two put on an exhibition in that match. That match right there, those two, like, oh man, like, I'm old school to the face. I'm sorry. When you mention matches like that, what about Ric Flair and Steamboat? Yeah, no, we mentioned that. The rivalry between Ric Flair and Ricky Steamboat, like, oh my God, in Chi-Town? Like, the matches they had when Ricky Steamboat finally beat him for the world title. You say, you think territories could exist in this modern day era? You know, that's a good question, Brian. It's possible if done right. If done right, maybe. But, you know, it could probably help with national exposure now. You know, like, everybody still have their little territory. You stay over here, I stay over there. But, I don't know. It could. You know, you never know. You know, the way wrestling's going on, right? Because look, like, shit, wrestling's about to go to Netflix. Like, who would have ever thought wrestling was going on Netflix? You know what I mean? Hi, honey, my beautiful wife, director, just saying thank you for watching, honey. Hi, Evan. No, like, it's tough to say. Like, maybe territories can work, maybe they can't. But, like, back then, when the territories were on, like territories, you had stars like Stan Hansen, Bruiser Brody, Abdullah the Butcher, Cactus Jack, Giant Baba. Like, oh my God, like the Ravishing Rick Rude, Kurt Hennig, like, the names keep going. Like, George the Animal Steel, like, all these guys back in the day when they fought in AEW, WCCW. When I remember the match with Rick Rude and Bruiser Brody for the World Heavyweight title when Chris Kringle was with Ravishing Rick Rude. I'm like that was the time, like, era. That was the era right there, especially with Stan Hansen was probably by far, to me, the most honorable star in New Japan, in Japan, period. Like, in Japan wrestling ever, because they respected that man so much. And the battles he had with Vader and Giant Baba and other stars in New Japan, you know, but the fight that always got to me in WCCW was Abdullah and Bruiser Brody. Like, oh my God. Like, I still watch that feud to this day. Sometimes, like, it comes up on my YouTube feed, and I get so excited. I'm like, yo, I'm like, I don't think, like, this wouldn't survive here in this era. Like, I'm sorry. There's too many sensitive people. Oh, too much blood. Nah, like, cut that shit out. This is wrestling. Like, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? But in my opinion, one of the greatest moments I've seen as a kid, and this is just as a kid. Now, you know, I still watch it here and there. But at WrestleMania 8, when the Ultimate Warrior came running down the ramp to save Hulk Hogan, I marked out when I was a kid. Like, I was a little young. I marked out quick. It was like, that was my great moment. Dave says the biggest drawback to territories now would be workers wouldn't homestead. Rip the Crippler Oliver was a good in the Pacific Northwest, but did not travel well. I don't know. It would be cool to bring back the territory era. But again, everything is national TV. Everything is, you know, you gotta get exposure. That's what it is. With the territories, there wasn't that much exposure. You know, everybody was in their element. Everybody was there, you know. And hey, Jeremy, what's going on, brother? Welcome, bro. How's it going? ¿Qué pasa, brother? He said, we're about to talk, what we're talking about tonight. Greatest moments that made you become a wrestling fan. Any moment, 80s, 90s, 2000, whatever the hell you watched when that made you become a fan for the first time as a wrestling fan. But no, that when Ultimate Warrior ran down the aisle, WrestleMania 8 was epic. Like, I loved it. But, you know, there's so much things that have occurred in professional wrestling. And here's one that Dave Biddle mentioned earlier. In 1989, WCW Great American Bash, Terry Funk versus Ric Flair. An unhinged and unplugged rivalry with these two men. Like, how? Like, this is type of rivalries that we need to see today. You know, because back in the days, that, like they said, when kayfabe wasn't broken, like, these guys actually, they played the character so well, so well, that people thought it was real. Like, not to say it's fake, but like the actual heat was real. Like, it was a bad guy, good guy, you know, until kayfabe was broken. You know what I mean? And it sucked because that was good TV. He said, oh, damn, okay. He said, I'm not sure if I can remember. I've been watching wrestling since I was 3. Laughing out loud. Bro, whatever you can remember, man. Anything you want, we're going to talk about. Like, it's when you saw the kayfabe go, like, it's like, okay, like, what's next? But the one person who had kayfabe, like, down packed was The Undertaker. Like, The Undertaker always stood in character. When I saw his documentary, they asked him a question. Kobe, what's going on, brother? Welcome. When they asked him, are you married? He said, I'm married. I'm married to the creatures of the night. Like, he didn't let anybody in. Nobody. He kept this gimmick going, and that's what he wanted to do. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Encyclopedia EPW. Thank you, sir. Dave says, an event that made a fan of a different style of wrestling, Shane Douglas disrespecting the NWA belt and bringing in the era of Extreme Championship Wrestling. That was definitely a moment to remember in professional wrestling when Shane Douglas did that, which he caught the attention of many people with what he did. And some people liked it, some people condoned it, but it made one hell of a buzz. Can I get a hell yeah? Stone Cold of the Attitude Era. Another moment that I loved as a wrestling fan. And you just stood there, and he actually was able to do what most people can't do. He was able to whip his boss's ass in public on TV. He says, yeah, I remember on Monday Night Raw after the show ended, Triple H and everyone was trying to break The Undertaker, trying to break the character, and Undertaker wasn't having it. No, he doesn't, because he stays in character all the time. But that's good. I mean, that's how much of the love he had for the business. You know what I mean? Which was awesome. You know, and I mentioned Undertaker because I know he's someone's favorite wrestler in here, and I'm sure he's going to shout him out soon. Undertaker's a great star, but I remember Undertaker as Mean Mark Callis when he was in the Skyscrapers in WCW. He took it very seriously. Excuse me. He took it very seriously, and he, to me, is by far the greatest character to ever hit this industry. Like, the entrance, the theme, the aura of The Undertaker coming in. Yeah, he had Paulie Dangerously with him, exactly. And it was awesome. It was awesome, and I was glad that he left WCW, because if not, we would have never had an Undertaker. You know what I mean? But no, there were great moments in wrestling. Like, it's so hard to choose. Like, what moments, like what best wrestling moments you can think of, even in the 2000s, like best of the best in the business. Yep, exactly. You're like all these guys. Like Brian says, I need to get my territory history with Peacock. They have tons of events to watch on there. Absolutely, hell yeah. You know, I think I might do that too my next day off. Maybe come back, maybe relive. That's not a bad idea, Brian. Maybe relive the territory era. Territory era part 2 to discuss about it. You know, many more territories. I'm down with that, bro. I'm down with that. Bradley, what's going on, brother? Welcome. Ray, you said best of the best in the business. What made you be? I know you're not much of a wrestling fan. You've seen it. You've seen some events, big events. But what made you get into watching events and stuff like that? Like your main character you enjoyed. I know one of them was definitely Goldberg. You know, you love the spear and the jackhammer, which, you know, even though it was 2 moves, he still created a buzz in professional wrestling. The feud that was best, in my opinion, was the 2000s. Was Matt and Edge was so freaking awesome. Those two, they put pretty good. They did good at a point, but then they screwed it up. James says, Lewis, if you're starting a new company, who do you pick as your top 4 to start with? Wow. Oh shit, that's a good question, bro. Like, oh man. That's a tough one, bro. Shit. I would have to say Undertaker would have to be on the top of that list for sure. Ric Flair, Hulk Hogan, of course, and I would have to say Stone Cold. Stone Cold right there. That was a tough question, bro. He said, love this team. He beat a lot of people. He beat a lot of people for the belt. No, he did. He sure did. He beat Hulk Hogan for the belt. He was undefeated. Tough choices. That's what I'm saying. It's tough choices, man. Current stars? I don't know, man. John Cena. Whew. How about the Dudley Boys, Edge and Christian, the Hardy Boys? Oh, man, that rivalry was crazy. Then that TLC at WrestleMania. And so, oh, man. Whew. Damn. Brian says Bruce and Brody, Undertaker, Ric Flair, Macho Man. Damn, those are some good picks, man. Shit, man. Like, that was a good freaking question, yo. Like, I might have to come up with a topic for that, man. Excuse me. But, no, man, there's so many great moments. I remember one moment in specific that I remember a long time ago. There was a matchup between Mr. Perfect and Bret the Hitman Hart. Yeah, that sounds like a topic question. That's not a bad idea. Damn, yo, that's if now Seth Rollins, the Young Bucks, Tomless, Tony Storm. Damn. He said, how are we leaving out Terry Funk? No, Terry Funk, bro. Terry Funk is a classic. It's SummerSlam 1991. Bret Hart and Kurt Hennig, Mr. Perfect. That match was an instant classic. Like the first time Bret Hart, that was a great match with Mr. Perfect. Yep, in SummerSlam 1991. It was good, man. Like I play it back, and to me, that was probably one of the best SummerSlams I've ever watched. I think my favorite SummerSlams were 89, maybe 90, maybe, and 19. Cannibal for real. No, it was a good match. But New Generation era, probably anything with Heartbreak Kid and Razor Ramon. Absolutely. That ladder match at WrestleMania 10. Like, alone, Shawn Michaels with those two put on a show like no other, bro. Like, it was good. It was really good. James Sargent says, Hennig, Rude, DiBiase, and Piper all should have had a title run. I agree. I absolutely agree. But remember, Hennig had a title run, well, Intercontinental, but Hogan was the golden boy at the time. He wasn't being touched because Vince McMahon had his vision. DiBiase definitely should have won the goddamn title because he was an awesome heel as well as Piper. Terry Funk is unforgettable. Definitely a face in the wrestling Mount Rushmore. I agree. I definitely agree. SummerSlam 2002. Tell us about it. Shawn Michaels with his famous sweet chin music kick. Oh, man. Sid Vicious, he passed away, man, a couple of weeks ago. He was good, man. He was good in professional wrestling. He had the pop. I love this powerbomb, which reminds me, we're gonna talk about that. We're gonna discuss something about that later on in the show. The moment that really also caught my eye was when I first saw the first ever Fall Brawl War Games. Like, to think that now it's back in professional wrestling War Games. Like, you see, it's already going to be in Survivor Series. That's it. Like, every year, it's Survivor Series War Games. I kind of agree with that in a sense, Brian, because I like Kevin Nash's powerbomb too. Because, he definitely has a good powerbomb. But I don't know. It's a toss-up between those two, man. Like, they both had the jackknife powerbomb with a scary motherfucker. That's right. A time loop for me. Kurt Hennig versus Kerry Von Erich. What made us special for me, I saw a match with Fritz Von Erich versus Larry Hennig in the 70s. Oh, man. Dave, what you doing, bro? What you doing to me? What you doing to me, man? Oh, yo. Ultimate War Games match. The Four Horsemen versus the Clique. That's cool, man. That's really cool. Listen, War Games has had so many matches. Triple H versus The Rock, they kicked each other's ass big time. I remember that rivalry. When they started that rivalry from the Nation of Domination and DX. Damn, good for bringing that out, bro. The Nation of Domination at the time and DX, they both had a heated rivalry. And at the time, Triple H and The Rock didn't like each other at all. Like, I couldn't stand each other. I'm like, oh shit. But that was definitely a good rivalry for sure. So yeah, SummerSlam 02 is probably considered the best SummerSlam of all time in 1998. And 1998 as well. Yeah, no, listen, there's so many SummerSlams out there that, like, I was at the SummerSlam with my cousin when we saw Triple H come back to SummerSlam. And I was like, oh shit. Austin versus oh man. Austin versus Hitman? Yo, that was when the rivalry started, and that's what turned Stone Cold into Stone Cold when he fought Bret Hart in that submission match. Like, those two, that was a bloody mess that left Stone Cold in. But it made him a star. He said, yeah, that was SummerSlam 2000. Said, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, yo, like, shit. Like, like, you saw the turn right away. Like, and once you knew, and the moment he says, Austin 3:16 says, I just whipped your ass. That was it. Oh, man. We couldn't leave out Mankind. Mick Foley. Shit, I still remember to this day that matchup with him and Undertaker in Hell in a Cell. Like, bro, to this day, I can watch that match over and over and over. because of the way that matchup turned out. Like, the way he got thrown off the cage, the way he went through the cage, like, holy shit, like, how the hell was he still standing? Like, shit, like, this dude's a machine or what? Like, wow. Like, oh, man. Yes, probably my favorite match in WrestleMania match ever. Undertaker versus Bret Hart had great matches. They sure did. They sure did. Thumbtacks all over his body. Like, yo, like, it was a very gory match, but a wonderful one. If that makes sense, a wonderful one. It was a good one. It was a good match. But I remember the matchup in Halloween Havoc. I forgot the stars. Who were the stars? As a matter of fact, you know, I'm going to search this up. Halloween Havoc. Halloween. Hold on. Havoc. 8-man. Okay, there was a matchup that was in Halloween Havoc. I think it was back in the 80s with Abdullah the Butcher. Abdullah the Butcher was involved. I'm trying to remember. Where was this match at. Oh man. Abdullah. Some guys help me out here. Okay, hold on one second. Let me get back to these comments here. All right, a match that is coming up 2000-ish. Bryan Danielson unified the Ring of Honor World and Pure titles versus Nigel McGuinness. I marked out Wednesday when it was announced they will wrestle in New York in 2 weeks. He said, yo, Dave, I'm not sure if you have Peacock, but they have some great AEW matches on here. Oh, man, you guys are going back. Way back. Was it Halloween Havoc 19? Yes. Halloween Havoc 1991, I believe. If I'm not mistaken. Let me see here. It was a match. Yes. 1991 Halloween Havoc. When they had the matches, we had the Chamber of Horrors match with Sting, El Gigante, and the Steiner brothers against Abdullah the Butcher, Diamond Stud, Cactus Jack, and Big Van Vader. He gets electrocuted in the chair. Exactly. So Terry Bradshaw clothesline is serious. Oh yeah, JBL's. Yo, the lariat? That's like Stan Hansen. He said, oh, you talking about the electric chair match? Yup, I'm talking about 1991. Yo, bro, that shit was a classic. I would still watch that match to this day. It was an awesome match. Like, that match was, oh, man. Dave. Midnight Express versus the original Midnight Express. Oh, man. Sting versus Cactus. Yo, you guys are coming at me. I'm here with bombs here. These are good moments, man. This is what makes us fans, yo. That we enjoyed it. We loved it. And, yes, I just got a message from one of our colleagues, James Sargent. Yes, James, we were talking about that Jesse Ventura is returning as color commentator to Saturday night's main event when it returns to NBC. I am excited to see that shit. Like, I can't wait. I cannot wait. Oh, man, it's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome. I can't wait. Woo. The things they're going to do on that, I'm sure they're going to do some epic things. He said, Dave Biddle, matches like this was wrestling. I agree, Brian. I agree. I definitely agree. Haha, Cactus Jack. Who do you put with him? They're saying Corey Graves. They're thinking Corey Graves. They don't know yet. Oh, man. Edwin Rivera. Yo. Eddie versus Ray. Halloween Havoc 1997. Bro, that matchup was a wrestling clinic with those two. Like, I mean, straight up and down, the match was an epic technical match. Like, those two had Al Snow, Sick Puppy. Oh man, that was a funny character. Hi, can I have some water, please? Thank you. I'm sorry, I'm parched. I forgot to get myself some water. I'm so excited from this wrestling talk. No, Al Snow was cool, bro. He was a cool star back in the days. But yo, like it was so epic back in the days, the 80s, the 70s. Like Al Snow, we won. Oh man, Eddie Guerrero and D Malenko. Oh, I remember that match, Bradley. Demolition and Brain Busters. I saw that matchup. Hey, buddy. Eddie Guerrero and D Malenko in ECW for the ECW TV title. Those two, before they left ECW, they did such a match in ECW that it was. Thank you, honey. Love you. With my producer and director. Thank you so much. That we. Excuse me. I'm sorry. 1 second. Drink of water, bro. Oh, that was good. Thank you. Any cruiserweight match, WCW cruiserweight match, Dean Malenko, Ray, Jericho, Eddie Kidman, La Parka. Oh man, you know what? WCW definitely had a one-up with WWE with that, with the cruiserweight division. The cruiserweight division, you sure that's what? Yeah, it's water. It's water. It's definitely water. He said, watching 1991, Halloween Havoc now. Oh, shit. That's going to make me watch that tonight at Peacock. Sorry, guys. My ear's itching for some reason. I don't know why. I do apologize. But wrestling fans, our time is up here. We are actually going to use these final 12 minutes to do a Q&A. As always, you guys can ask me a question. I can try to answer it the best of my ability. We can talk about the question, talk about your thoughts, anything that can be past, present, future, no matter what it is. Jose, what's going on, brother? ¿Cómo estás? So old ass ears, yeah, old ass ears, bro. Turn, it's there. On core. What the? So yeah, feel free to ask the question. I'll be happy to try to answer it as best as you can. Do you think the ruthless aggression? You got our first question. Do you think the ruthless aggression era was peak in ring wrestling? I would say it was good. The ruthless aggression era brought out many stars, such as Batista, John Cena, Kurt Angle, the Dudley Boys, like many other stars. That Brock Lesnar, shit. The list goes on and on, but at that moment, WWE needed to create new stars because people, as always, as people got sick in the golden era of Hulk Hogan and saying your prayers, tearing the shirt and all that shit, and then that's when they turned him heel. And then that's when The Rock turned heel, Stone Cold stopped, and all these stars came in. John Cena came out of nowhere and became this huge star. And just for him rapping in a bus to Stephanie McMahon, did it on TV, changed his career like that. Putting Batista with Ric Flair was the smartest fucking thing you were able to do. With him and Triple H, those two trained him, they molded him, and he became a huge star. So the ruthless aggression era, I actually enjoyed it. You know, with the my favorite part of the ruthless aggression era was the brand rivalries. You know, with invasions, with The Undertaker versus Kane, Shawn Michaels versus Kurt Angle, which to me was one of the greatest matches ever in the ruthless aggression era of all time. He said no attitude ever was peak of wrestling. That's what I'm saying. It's back and forth. You know what I mean? It's attitude era was great too. You know, attitude era was the Stone Cold era, kicking his ass, Vince McMahon's ass all the time, sticking his middle finger up, flipping the bird all the time. It was awesome too to watch. It was awesome to watch. But then there's many that say that the peak of wrestling was the 80s, was the golden era. because of the way it paved the way for the Attitude Era, for the Ruthless Aggression Era. Dave says, to me, the early 90s to me, Doink the Clown, the Odysseys, too much cartoon feel. Exactly. Said, I'm not sure what would you call it, but what is your favorite wrestling show? I know I was going to get a lot of heat for this one, but I'm not going. But I'm going with it, Brother Love. Brother Love. Ah, no, you. Oh man, that shit was so annoying. That was a good one. That was a good one. But come on, man. I'm not gonna knock you for it. Brother Love was good. That show was good. That segment was good with Brother Love. But to me, my all-time favorite segment would always be Piper's Pit. All the time. Like, just when you think you have the answers, I change the questions. And I used to love that segment, Piper's Pit, all the time. There was good ones. There was Piper's Pit. There was Brutus's Barbershop. There was Paul Bearer's Funeral Parlor. Jericho's Highlight Reel. Like, there was so many. But I'm sorry, Piper's Pit is an all-time great. Like, there's nobody that was able to ever repeat what Piper did in any segment with the questions and all the heat he used to get when he was in Piper's Pit. I'm sorry. That's that's just my opinion. But the flower shop was funny with Adrian Adonis. But yeah, man. Continue, guys. Send your questions. Send your questions. We still got 8 minutes left before we are done for the night. He said, I beg to differ. Carlitos Cabana is elite. I don't know. The coconut and Jimmy Snuka. Come on, man. You can't. The perfect moment. There you go right there. See, somebody know. Somebody know the old school when you're talking about it. MVP, it was okay. It was all right. You know, like I said, I'm old school to the face. That coconut shit right there with Jimmy Snuka was a classic. Without a shadow of a doubt, made a great rivalry between Jimmy Snuka and Roddy Piper. Two of the all-time greats. Sorry. But, come on, give me your questions, guys. We still got 8 minutes left to take your questions. And then we'll be signing off. I'll be signing off and signing off. Oh, man. It's great to be a wrestling fan, man. It's great to be a wrestling fan. And I'm enjoying every moment of it. But again, I always go back to the old school. I always go back to my roots. Old school, seeing the steel cages of Don Morocco and Jimmy Snuka. Or seeing the strap match between Greg the Hammer Valentine and Roddy Piper in the dog collar match. He said they should bring back the chamber. That would be some sick shit, Brian. That would really be some shit. You know what? We should send a suggestion to WWE. Said there are a few WWE and NWA stars I want to see in AEW. Who do you want to see in the WWE? That's a good question. To be honest with you, I would actually like to see Ricky Starks. I would like to see Ricky Starks actually be in the WWE. I could see a bright future for him if used right in the WWE. That man has a very bright future for him. And Sammy Guevara too. Like MJF, he's, he wild. I like his thing. I like his attitude, but it's like, like what are you gonna do? Maybe, but I would like to see Ricky Starks for sure. But it's definitely awesome the way everything is happening in wrestling now. Like from TNA, from NWA, AEW, WWE, like New Japan, like everything. People are not just staying to one company now. Like Ricochet, for example. Ricochet is in AEW. I'm loving him to do to go back to the rivalry he once had with Will Ospreay. Will Ospreay is another star I would have loved to see in WWE. Like the matches, he if he would have came, he probably could have relived that rivalry with Ricochet. He said, "You seen Chris Valiant interview with Batista? Recently I did, was great. I gotta see it." He said, "You believe in Joe?" He's not a bad star. He's definitely not a bad star either. Joe Hendry definitely has caught the attention of wrestling fans, and I think he's going to be a very, very interesting star in the years to come. He said, "You should catch Taker's podcast on YouTube. He talks a lot about the old school stuff." I might need to do that. He said, "WWE dropped the ball with Ricochet." I believe it. I believe it. He sure did. They sure did. I absolutely agree. I couldn't agree more. I would hate to lose him, but think Kill Switch would kill in the WWE. Oh, man. Jay White. Damn. That's tough, man. That's tough right there. You guys are killing me. These questions. This is true. Yeah. No, man. That's... There's so many stars you would be able to see, man. It's a hot take. Undertaker is the all-time greatest wrestler of all time. Always adapted his gimmick and moves, had longevity, made others stars, and stood loyal. I would have to say I 100% agree with that. Because, you know, they are stars. You know, don't get me wrong. Like, he's great in his own way. Like, you know, as far as the greatest wrestler of all time, because he kept his gimmick. He had his matches. He made stars. Like, and to this day, I know Brian and many are gonna agree with me with this. He should not have, at any point at all, lost that streak. That WrestleMania streak should have stood intact, especially going into the WWE Hall of Fame, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. You know, and it still bothers me that they did it, especially to Brock. I understand that, yes, you try to do what was best for business, that he was already the top heel, and he should have lost it to him and build him as a star. Listen, if anybody was going to destroy that streak, it should have been Shawn Michaels. It should have been Shawn Michaels. It should have been... And if not him... Oh, no. Believe me, we're going to... Oh, man. That's a moment with itself, WrestleMania streak. You know what? We'll get to that in a second. It was originally Edge that WWE wanted him to break the streak at WrestleMania 24, but Edge said no because nobody wanted to. That's not a streak you break. Like, exactly. That's a topic in itself. The Undertaker, his WrestleMania streak, his gimmick, everything. And I know that we touched on this, but fans, our time is up here. Thank you, wrestling fans, for joining us. We appreciate you always following us and watching our content. Please feel free to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, and TikTok. So, this right here, the streak should have only gone to Kane or Bray Wyatt. Okay, you guys talked me into it. Next week's show, we are going to discuss the WrestleMania streak. 21 matches. 22 matches. Which with one of them ending at 21-1. And then his final 2 matches itself with Cena and Roman Reigns. Next week, we are going to be talking about Undertaker's WrestleMania record. Yes, that's a good one. That's good. Oh, Brian. Oh, boy. See, Brian's ready. Brian's ready. That was going to be good. No, next week, 8 o'clock sharp, we are going to talk about the WrestleMania streak, his record. And if at that point someone thinks that his streak should have been broken, we'll mention it at the end of the show and why. So tune in next week, wrestling fans, for that topic specifically and wrestling's top news. From myself, Lewis, the Encyclopedia Pro Wrestling, and from my lovely wife, producer Jasenia. Thank you, honey. Thank you, wrestling fans. Join us next week. Thank you. And as always, the pleasure is all yours.